This is what Formula One should be about. Gloves are off.
Commitment off the scale.
Look at that!
This is not done yet. How hot does he look?
Huge impact.
2 races to go. This is Formula One.
Good afternoon and welcome to the penultimate race of the 2010 Formula One season. And once again this year it looked like Ferrari were going to fail to match up to the huge expectations they've learned to live with. But then suddenly it all became clear. The dark horse was simply toying with us. Well, they're flying now, aren't they? They've got the speed, they've got the star, and today they could also have the success as Fernando and Ferrari go title hunting here, live at Interlagos. And 17 years to the day since the legendary Brazilian Ayrton Senna won his last race in Formula One, we're at the place that he called home. High on the hills above sprawling Sao Paulo, this short, twisty old track is one of the classics in Formula One. And the fans who once revered the Sennas, the Piquets and Fittipaldis will once again bring the passion as they simultaneously bring this place to life for its annual performance in front of the world. And performing for us once again, as always, this weekend, David Coulthard and Eddie Jordan. Lovely to see you both. Two men who both won here during their careers and who both turned up here because we all love the passion on display here in Brazil. You only have to look up at the grandstands here to realise that there really is a true love for motor racing in this part of the world. But sadly, along with that comes a fair amount of danger as well. And I'm sure if you woke up to the morning papers today, you'll know that Jenson Button, after leaving the circuit here last night, was the victim of an attempted armed attack. Well, we're very pleased to say that Jenson and everybody else in the car are absolutely fine. I'm sure you can understand that when they arrived here this morning there was plenty of interest in what Jenson had to say, and Lee McKenzie spoke with him.
Jenson, good to see that you're okay. Just describe what happened for us, please.
I was with our driver heading down just outside the circuit, about a kilometre away, if that, and pulled up with some traffic lights about 3 roads back. It's a 3-lane road, and so there's sort of 6-7 cars in front of us. And we looked to the right, and sort of an entrance to a building. And suddenly there were sort of 6 or 7 guys there that looked a bit suspicious, but you don't really think anything of it. They were quite young in their 20s, I'd say. And and then Richard, my manager, who sat in the back, noticed that one guy had a sort of a baton down his arm. And I looked across and saw a guy playing with a gun. He had it in his trousers, just positioning it, and he looked quite nervous. And as soon as I said that, the driver looked across. And when he looked across at them, they all started sort of charging towards the car. So he angled the car and tried to get away. And there were two of them with handguns and one with what looked like a machine gun, a massive big gun. And he angled the car really well. He did a great job, really, really did. You know, fair play to the guy. He did an amazing job.
Do you think it was random selection, or were you the target?
Initially, you think it's just random, it's that area, and then afterwards all sorts of things go through your mind, but I'm hoping that we were just unlucky. I feel very sorry for the other guys that had the issue yesterday, the Sauber guys, because they're the guys that actually got held up and they had to give everything over, and it's a horrible situation. So yeah, I feel for those guys.
How much of a black cloud is this over the Brazilian Grand Prix? Because if it happens on quite a regular basis, I don't think people at home realise just how often.
Yeah, it happens too often.
Well, of course, once is once too often, as we all know. David, when the guys got back to the hotel last night, you just so happened to be in the same lift as them. How did Jensen look?
Well, actually, I've not seen his eyes so dilated since he won his first Grand Prix. You couldn't see any colour at all, so clearly he was buzzing from the experience. So not the best way to go and prepare yourself for a Grand Prix.
Yeah. Only a Formula One driver would describe that as a buzzing experience, I think. Eddie, you travelled in actually with McLaren this morning. I'm surprised they let you jump in their convoy, but you did anyway. I gather it was quite an involved process.
Well, it was, and as a result of yesterday, this is quite embarrassing for the country because really it's a super place. But just to give you an idea, there was armed guards at front with outriders, and then there was Lewis's car, armour-plated, of course, as indeed then following behind was Jensen, and I came in with Martin Whitmarsh, again armour-plated car, and security and outriders behind. So it was quite tough situation to be in.
Sure. I think the general feeling from the Brazilians here is one of embarrassment, really. But what we mustn't do is allow this to overshadow a really very special weekend for Sao Paulo and Interlagos. This is how the season has gone so far. We arrive here for the penultimate race of the year, and you just have to look at this to see that in the first half of the year, Fernando Alonso really was struggling. However, the past few races mean that he turns up here with a chance to be crowned the Formula One World Champion today. And will he be returning to Italy a hero? Well, actually, history suggests that he just might.
Formula One rules in Sao Paulo. This could be another special day at Interlagos.
Another stunning piece of driving under pressure from Button.
Jensen Button through.
It's only lap 7, I'm out of breath already. Brilliant driving all round.
Jensen Button, the 2009 World Champion.
We are world champions! World champions!
Unbelievable. I don't think you can deny Lewis Hamilton the title of world champion. Perfect start from the two Ferraris. Kimi Raikkonen takes the 2007 World Championship from under the nose of McLaren. Brilliant. Fernando Alonso, the youngest ever two-time Formula One champion. What a feeling that must be. Brilliant, brilliant achievement by Fernando Alonso.
Great scenes, though. So the title has been won every single year here for the past 5 years, and to make it 6 in a row, Fernando Alonso will have to beat the boys in this garage and also the boys in Red Bull as well. 4 of the fastest drivers in the world he's up against today, and this is how close it's looking in the title battle at the moment. Now, if you say there are 42 points between the 5 fastest guys, you might think 42 points, that's an awful lot. Well, not anymore, because these days in Formula One, it's 25 points for a win. And even if the title isn't won in the next 71 laps today, plenty could still be decided. My advice, get yourself a calculator. Time to shed some light on this weekend's championship permutations. Now, the maths this weekend are far from simple. However, the easiest way to explain Fernando Alonso's position is that he's the only man in the hunt who could be crowned world champion this weekend in Brazil. He's got 231 points on the board, 11 points ahead of Mark Webber. If he wins the race, he wins the title and knocks everybody out of the running, including Mark Webber, unless Mark finishes in the top 4. So Alonso has 231 points. Mark has 220 points, which means a win for him, giving him 25 points, could make him the championship leader, and he could have knocked his teammate out of the title race. How sweet would he find that? So a win for Mark Webber gives him 25 points. That's 245. Now, if Fernando Alonso finished second, he'd pick up 18 points. That would give him 249 points. And that would mean Jenson Button out. Sebastian Vettel, Mark Webber's teammate, is out. Lewis Hamilton would need 15 points and to finish third just to stay in the hunt. 231 points. That's Fernando Alonso. Lewis is on 210. 231 minus 210 equals 21 points. Lewis will take great heart from this. If he wins today, the title race will go to Abu Dhabi. Because Sebastian is 25 points behind, to stay in the reckoning, he must finish in the points, which means he needs to be in the top 10. And to make things even more complicated, Vettel must finish in front of Fernando Alonso. Now the numbers look really, really bad for Jenson Button. He is 42 points behind Fernando Alonso. Now there's only 50 points left up for grabs, which means that Jenson, even if he wins today and picks up 25 points, Fernando Alonso just needs 8 points for finishing in the top 6, and Jenson is out of the title race. Wow, compared to that, the race itself this weekend will be positively simple. 5 men in the title hunt, 2 races left, 25 points up for grabs. The permutations are pretty much endless. However, one thing is definitely certain. This weekend in Brazil, for these boys, it's make or break. Hands up, who's confused?
Clear as mud, Jake.
Yeah, okay, well, you can be the maths monitor for today then, Eddie. I knew you'd say you can work it out. You used to do maths on the pit wall once upon a time. As do the drivers in their heads when they're racing here as well. It's so much about Fernando Alonso, this title race. How much will the other drivers be wanting information on where he is and how things are standing?
Well, obviously they'll have gone through all that ahead of the race, but what's quite clear is you're not going to drive for points unless you are in a position that's going to maximise your position in the championship. Fernando is obviously a little bit in the back foot in 5th place, but this race, it's in many ways it's all about Sebastian Vettel, Lewis Hamilton have got to win this race, I think, bring themselves back into it.
And talking about that, they will be expecting support from other members in their team. And take Lewis Hamilton, for example, he'll want support from Jenson Button. How much can we expect Sebastian Vettel to perhaps be asked to move aside from Mark Webber today, do you think?
I don't think so. I think this is a straight race. I think Red Bull have made it very clear. We've all seen earlier on today, all team principals, particularly Christian Horner, deep in conversation. I can only imagine that was with DT Matisic, and I presume they are absolutely understanding what they expect each other to do. Okay, well, it is rather confusing, but it will be slightly clearer if you're watching us on the BBC One HD channel, because we're there in upscaled, higher definition, so you can enjoy your first Grand Prix on that channel today if you so choose. So we know where the guys stand as far as the title's concerned, but where do they stand with regards to today's race? Here's Ted Kravitz.
On a track still wet from early rain, qualifying presented an opportunity for the title contenders to slip up. But while they all survived, none would take pole position. Making it hard for themselves were the Force India drivers, ruining each other's laps, and not for the first time.
Yeah, it was too close for the teammates. I don't know what's wrong with him, but he did it several times in this year. I think he's just a little bit over the place.
I had the same problem many times this year as well, so I don't think he can complain.
There were more squabbles in the midfield. Nico Rosberg felt Sebastian Buemi had held him up, but stewards ruled that the Toro Rosso was far enough ahead as to not be a factor.
he needs to be penalised. He already has a penalty, I think, for this race. I'm hoping he's going to get another one.
I think he's a little bit overexcited about it, to be honest, because I already got a penalty with him in Spa. If he's disappointed because he doesn't have a quick enough car, it's not my problem.
As if his championship position wasn't fragile enough, Jenson Button became the big-name disappointment of qualifying. Problems with the brakes and overheating tyres left him out of the top 10 and looking like out of title contention. Car performance just another thing to add to an eventful Saturday for the world champion.
We put new tyres on at the end of the qualifying, and on my first lap it was all right, but the second lap I'd damaged the tyres too much to get a lap out of them, so I pitted. So yeah, it's disappointing not to get in the top 10, but I've started from worse places here and done okay.
Ferrari are also facing an uphill struggle. Felipe Massa's just 9th on the grid, while championship leader Fernando Alonso is behind his immediate title rivals. This race now all about limiting the damage to his 11-point lead.
For us, main priority is to increase the gap with the second guy. Now it's 11 points to Mark. If we can finish tomorrow afternoon with more than those 11 points, will be great. If we have to give some points, hopefully not too many.
The last 5 minutes of qualifying were breathless as the track dried out and the slick tyres went on. This was a great opportunity for Lewis Hamilton to beat the Red Bulls on the grid, but fourth was the best he could manage, behind Mark Webber and Sebastian Vettel. The Red Bull duo second and third, and well placed to make up the championship ground they lost at the last race in Korea.
In qualifying, just that last lap, I got a bit held up right at the last corner. Didn't know which direction. I thought someone was backing up in front of me and lost a bit of time there. So unfortunately, that's a little bit of a frustration. But otherwise, we're still in the fight.
In terms of your championship, is it good to have Hamilton as a buffer to Fernando?
Well, it's always, nice that Fernando is not completely, he's not on pole, put it this way. So, to make things a little bit more challenging for the guy that is leading the championship is never a bad thing, let's say. But Lewis is not on 0 points either.
It's a long race tomorrow, and a lot of things that we need to look out for, and possible safety cars always here. The races here have been very entertaining, as you know, so it's a long way, and I think it would be the wrong thing to worry about the people behind.
That left a surprise pole sitter. Nico Hülkenberg's in his first season in Formula One and doesn't even have a drive for next year. But he'd figured out what the others hadn't. An aggressive lap out of the pits would generate good tyre temperature and lead to a fast lap. Hülkenberg mixing good judgment with raw talent and claiming pole position by over a second.
Very tidy lap, no mistakes, right on the limit of these conditions. It's very tricky, especially the last sector. It was still quite wet, the last corner, but very good lap. Very big thank you to the team. Have prepared a good car, which worked very well in today's conditions, and yeah, what can I say? It's amazing, and I just want to enjoy the rest of the day.
And I wonder whether he's enjoying this or feeling slightly nervous. It's a pleasure to be so close to the heart of Formula One. A new experience for this man, his first pole position in Formula One. Very best of luck, Nico, and almost a new experience for the Williams team. It's been 100 races since they last picked up a pole position in this sport. Eddie, it was interesting hearing Vettel say he thought he'd missed out by a tenth of a second. Then he realised it was a tenth and a whole second as well. An incredible performance.
Probably the biggest margin. I'm not sure. The calculators will probably work on that as well. But this was a remarkable position, because we rightly said yesterday the person who will be last over the line with one lap left is going to be pole position. As it happened, he didn't need it. He was remarkable. This was a great show.
And how will Lewis Hamilton be feeling about the fact that actually a car that's markedly slower than the Red Bulls is in front of the Red Bulls and could maybe back them into him?
Yeah, for him it's a good opportunity, because of course if Nico is able to convert pole into leading this Grand Prix, then everyone's going to have to line up behind him in his dirty air, struggling to overtake. So they'll be hoping that he's still leading the end of this first lap.
OK, so a fantastic day for Nico Hülkenberg. A slightly more difficult day, though, for Fernando Alonso. He starts behind three of his closest title challengers. But if there's one thing we've learned in 2010 about the Spaniard, it's that you write him off at your peril.
It has been probably the best year in my career in terms of happiness, in terms of motivation. I've been working with the team very close from January, then arrived Bahrain, first race with this fantastic team, won the first race, so amazing feeling.
Fernando Alonso wins!
Italy has a new hero, Spain already had one.
Oh, Alonso there facing the wrong way.
It's not the Fernando Alonso we know, love and despise all at the same time, is it?
That's not good news for Fernando Alonso.
jump start for Alonso, there's no doubt about it. Alonso jumped the start. This is how Alonso passed Massa coming into the pit lane.
Fernando Alonso starting from the pit lane after crashing in practice. Surely he's cut the corner. Drive-through penalty.
He will be seething.
Alonso has got another championship contender, fails to score points.
Some up and downs in the middle of the season, but then arrive some updates in the car, arriving in Germany, winning that race as well.
We're close to some coded messages here, I think. Fernando is faster than you, Felipe, or something.
Fernando is faster than you. Good lad. Just stick with him now. Sorry.
Fernando Alonso wins again for Ferrari. But it's not all champagne for Felipe Massa. What a feeling for Fernando Alonso. It's Forza Ferrari, Forza Fernando, and the championship challenge is back on.
Winning in Monza for the Italian Grand Prix, then Singapore again.
And Fernando Alonso, from pole to flag, has set the standard again.
I think I recovered some of the feelings that I missed in the last 2 years, that we were racing just to be in Q3 because we had some difficulties with the car performance. So this year with a competitive car again, I came back to the 2005, 6, 7 feeling. Being able to be on pole or being able to be in the podium and taste the champagne and all these kind of things that I was missing the last 2 years.
He now leads the championship with 2 races to go.
Fantastic hearing that laugh. As you can hear, the pit lane is open. The teams are making their way down now towards the grid. The countdown to the penultimate race of 2010 has well and truly started. Less than half an hour to go now. And the old adage, as Fernando Alonso, the World Championship leader, leaves the garage alongside us, is that consistency is king in Formula One, and he is proving that, isn't he?
Well, indeed, since Silverstone, at the halfway point of the season, he's outscored anyone else by 41 points. So he's had a massive second half of the season.
Yeah. Eddie?
Well, he's turned it around. I mean, he's made this champion now his to win. So, remarkable turnaround.
Okay, if there's one man who's made his desire quite explicit, it's Lewis Hamilton. He wants to arrive in Abu Dhabi as Nick Heidfeld pulls back into the garage here. He wants to arrive in Abu Dhabi still in the title hunt. Can he do that here today? Well, he's certainly ready for another race, just like Korea.
It's the worst condition I ever drove a car. There's still a lot of water.
So wet. It's like a lake on the straight.
It's completely impossible.
Conditions are good. The track is good. It's getting drier. It's almost intermediate. Just start the race. We should start the race.
It was interesting actually listening to your radio chatter in Korea. You wouldn't have heard all the other drivers, but they were saying it's too wet, let's not do this, and then you'd pop on and go, this is fine, let's go racing. Is that a small insight into your mental frame of mind at the moment? You need to be the one that's pushing. You need to be the aggressor.
Probably, yeah. But you know, in the last race, I just think, you know, I feel quite like a hardcore driver. Back in the olden days, the drivers were hardcore. They drove in all conditions. They drove cars that weren't that safe, you know. But that's the excitement comes from the danger. And you remove all aspects of danger in Formula One, there will be no fun. When it's wet, it's dangerous and it's exciting, and it wasn't to the point that it was dangerous for us to drive, really. I mean, you couldn't see fantastically well, but you can never see well in the rain.
It's very rare for the man driving the car that isn't the fastest to win the title. Give us an idea of how tricky it is over the course of a season to beat effectively what's been 2 quicker teams than you.
Well, you know, it's a team effort, you know, and then at the end of the day, to have the perfect package, you need to have the fastest car, the most reliable, and then the faultless drivers. And we never have any of those. I don't think any team has that. You know, everyone's made mistakes, everyone's had reliability problems. But, you know, sometimes at least you can get one of those right. So Red Bulls have got a very, very fast car. I just said to Sebastian just now, you know, his car is on rails. And he said, well, it's not on rails, but I said it's definitely on rails. to win a championship, in most years, if you don't have the fastest car, you don't win it. But this year's just been up and down. People have made mistakes. You know, reliability issues have made it really exciting.
To be here after a season where you have had struggles and the car isn't as quick as maybe you would have hoped, to be in the hunt with 2 races to go.
That's a great feeling. That's a great feeling. You know, I think being in the lead and trying to defend is a much worse feeling to be in. You know,
Really?
oh yeah, it's horrible. It's horrible. I don't like it.
So you wouldn't trade where you are with where Fernando is?
Well,
You would.
it's different. I would rather be closer and chasing.
Really?
You know, so say where Mark is or whatever it is, and chasing. Obviously, I'm a little bit further away now, so that's not the ideal position. But definitely being behind and chasing, you know, those 5 points, those 10 points, is definitely a nicer position to be in the last race, leading, and you have everything to lose then, and nothing to gain, generally.
It's getting better and better for Fernando Alonso.
Do you see chinks in the armour? Do you see anything to look at him or look at Ferrari and draw on to give you a bit of inspiration?
I don't need inspiration. I think I've always had a certain effect on Fernando, I think. So
what is that, do you think?
I have no idea. No idea. No.
Alonso's wheel change is finished. The lollipop goes up, but he doesn't pull away. Hamilton, queued up behind him, will run out of time to complete his final qualifying run. There's no love lost between these two.
He sees me in the mirrors, or I see him in the mirrors, or whatever. You know, there's naturally that competitiveness just switches on. It goes to another level. So that could be his weak point. Who knows?
Well, here we are in Lewis's garage. The team will be sitting on those chairs watching the monitor behind us as the race unfolds today, and they'll be hoping that Lewis can impress them once again. David, he might try and claim otherwise, but he's clearly relishing chasing down his former teammate, isn't he?
Well, indeed, you know, they were teammates. It was like oil and water. It just didn't work out between them. But yeah, I think that when he sees Lewis or when Lewis sees Fernando, there's something a little bit extra there, isn't there?
Can you understand this claim, Eddie, that he would rather be a little bit behind the leader rather than the man who is leading because you've got it all to lose and nothing to gain?
Strange psychology. I mean, I wouldn't want it that way, because Alonso has so many things in his favour, all the other competitors. Very few races. I'm sorry, I don't agree with Lewis in this respect. Maybe he's doing that trying mentally to wind himself up, which is a good thing. But no, he said what he said, and we have to believe him. OK, cars are flying through the pit lane. We'll be heading to Martin on the grid very shortly to get his thoughts and the thoughts, hopefully, of a few drivers ahead of this particular Grand Prix. There's an argument that perhaps, David, we could see a slightly nullified race, though, here, because as things stand, if the race finishes the way it starts, then apart from Jenson Button, 4 men will go to Abu Dhabi in the title hunt. So could they just look after themselves and each other in this race and take it all down to the wire, do you think?
I don't think that's the attitude at all. I think these guys are going to go for it. I think there will be a different result. It's very, very surprised if Nico Hülkenberg remains at the front of the pack.
And in actual fact, we talked about Alonso, how cool he is. Actually, a lot of things are falling into place for him. We know there's a bit of a rift going on in Red Bull, and who's in front of him, the 2 Red Bull cars. Who knows what's going to happen and how they're going to race. Alonso is the coolest guy on the track here at the moment, and he has everything going for himself. OK, well, from 2 men who've enjoyed racing here at Brazil over the years to another one. Martin Brundle is on the grid, and Martin, what a lovely dynamic having Nico Hülkenberg at the front.
It is. That's going to be fascinating with Wander up there, but always one of the most atmospheric crowds on the calendar as they look right over the top of the start line. 4 Brazilian drivers in this race, 2 of them in the top 10. Felipe Massa's Ferrari just being wheeled onto the grid. Of course, it's very much been a championship of snakes and ladders for the main contenders, but today is showtime. They've really got to deliver. They've got to stop Fernando Alonso taking the driver's title, and as Robert Kubica there gets wheeled to the grid. They switch the cars off so that they don't overheat and nobody gets run over. Fernando Alonso's been through the pits a couple of times, and to prepare his car. Obviously some stuff. I wonder what they can do with Jenson Button. There's Nico Rosberg has obviously forgotten his car or something, jogging through the grid, and I wonder if there's what can McLaren do with this car. He's out of position in 11th. He really needed to be up front. He'll have to be the one doing the mugging today. There's no doubt about that, because Jenson needs to be brought into play. Or may they start him on the harder compound tyre and see how far he can get into the race on that without too much degradation. The track had a good wash yesterday, and see if they can just do a different strategy to bring him into play to hold up some of the main title contenders. I think he's busy there just giving a final debrief on, and we're going to have to move forward, I think. I wouldn't mind a quick word with Jensen, but we haven't really quite got enough time. Phil Prue there chatting away, and Jensen, have you got time? You got a quick word, top man? So what can you do from here to help Lewis?
I'm here to race for myself, thank you very much.
So that's has to be clear on your mentality and completely understand that. But yeah, 11th on the grid, can you do something different on tyres?
Yeah, I mean, I can't tell you which tyre we're starting on, but I don't, whether it's going to be the same as all the cars in front or different. But yeah, I mean, this is a fun race. You can overtake here, and there's a headwind on the straight, which should help me. So.
Pretty torrid weekend. Is your head clear?
I think so. I think so. But I'm looking forward to it. I think this is a great place to race, and I'm looking forward to the challenge out there. And you know, for the team, the best thing I can do is score as many points, and that's what I want to do as well. So hopefully we'll make some good progress.
Well, you passed a lot of people from further back last year.
Cool. Thanks.
Cheers, let's go. Let's see if we can find Fernando Alonso. He's being interviewed here. Petrov, interestingly, he did his fastest lap time on the intermediate, so he can start on whatever tyre he likes. He's talking to Mark Slade, his engineer over here. A quick word. So a top 10 quali, you can use whatever tyres you want. What can you do from here?
It's a race. It's possible everything. So we try to do maximum what we can.
Good luck. Attack into the first corner?
We will see.
Okay, let's wander over. And Felipe Massa's heading off the grid. I suspect he's a little bit quicker than we are, but let's see if we can get a quick word with him. I want to chat with Robert Kubica as well if he's about. Can you keep up with me, Matt? Can you keep up? Felipe, a quick word? Just a very quick word as you climb the steps. What can you do from there, Felipe? With the how's your car? How's the track?
Well, for sure it's much different than yesterday, but anyway, I hope this track can be better for us. You know, Friday was much better than yesterday, so looking forward to have a stronger race than it was not very good in qualifying.
Okay, thank you, Nature Calls. And so let's see. I believe Nico Hulkenberg is on the front row of the grid now. What could you do to make this more exciting? We're in World Championship contender land here. Fernando Alonso over there, Lewis Hamilton, Mark Webber, Sebastian Vettel. And how are you going to spice that up other than putting a 23-year-old rookie on pole position in front of them? And we'll see, presumably he's over against the wall under the umbrella there with Nick Harris. Nico, wonderful qualifying lap. How's your head sitting on pole at 23 years old?
It's pretty settled, I would say. I think we did everything we can to prepare well. Obviously, you know, a bit more exciting than usually, but it's a good challenge.
Do you think you're going to be the cork in the champagne bottle here ahead of these very fast cars?
Maybe I could be, you know, all depending a bit on our speed and, you know, how we can race them or cannot race them, but I hope we can still get some good points home today.
Does it intimidate you, these guys behind you all up for the championship?
No, not at all. You know, we are racing Force India in a championship as well, and at the end of the day, I race for myself. Obviously, I don't want to hurt any one of these guys racing for the championship, but I have to do my race too.
They can't afford a 50-50 against you, can they? They're going to have to back off, aren't they?
Well, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what they do, what I do. You know, you never can predict a battle in racing.
And the starts, how have they been going?
I think pretty good. I'm confident that I'll have a good start off the line and can still be P1 after the start, but you know, anything can happen always.
You've been very generous with your time. Thank you. Good luck. So moving on, I don't know how much time I have available. I think I've got another couple of minutes before we have to head off the grid. And Sebastian Vettel down here with the Red Bull, sitting in all of its glory. And doesn't it? They're like Swiss watches. They're absolutely a work of art. They're just totally beautiful when you can get in there. We're towards the end of the season and we're still having to hide the back of the car so that the photographers can't get a shot of the very clever stuff that's going on. Let's just see if we can get it. It looks like he's kind of hustling for something. Seb, a quick word. Have you got time?
Yeah, just a bit.
So, you got a chance of being in the lead on the way into the first corner, yeah? You think they're busy with your car, do you?
Yeah, I mean, just give them a bit of room. So, what was your question then?
Question was, you've got a chance of leading into turn 1, haven't you?
I think so, starting from the front row. I think it looks pretty good. Our starts were good in the last couple of races, so let's see. You know, focus on the procedure, getting everything right, and then we go off the line. We'll see. Hopefully we can pass Hulkenberg straight away. That will be the easiest, but let's see.
Here's Nico Hulkenberg. That's your noisy car there. Is Nico Hulkenberg a 23-year-old rookie in your eyes, or just driver A you have to be ahead of?
Well, I mean, it's pretty simple. You know, we have to focus on our own race. Obviously, we know that we should be a bit quicker than the Williams, but it's a long race, so you know, you never know what's happening. So we have to keep our head cool and just focus on the start by now, turn 1, and then, as I said, it's a long race. Obviously, if we don't manage in the first corner, then you know the target is to get him some point later. So we will see.
Okay, good luck. Thank you very much for that. I suspect we're pretty much out of time with that. Back to you, Jake.
Martin, thank you very much. Sterling effort. That reminded you of one of your favourite television programmes as he was running after Felipe Massa.
Well, indeed, he was getting some speed up there. It reminded me of Challenge Annika, but I don't think he'd look as good in a blue jumpsuit, would he?
No, I don't think so. Let's just talk about the race for a moment, Eddie, particularly Hispania Racing and Christian Klein, who qualified towards the back yesterday. We believe he stopped out on the circuit, made his way back to the garage, got a problem with the engine electronics. That's bad news, but we're hearing good news for next season for this team.
Very exciting news for a team clearly anchored at the back, but has big ambitions, and that is that they're going to run the Williams whole rear end, gearbox, etc., and suspension, and they've got a new backer, and that's very good news this time of the year for their future.
OK, well, Christian Klein will be fighting at the back for today's Grand Prix, but Mark Webber, the man who of course led this championship for so long, knows that if he wins today and in a week's time in Abu Dhabi, he will win the Formula One World Championship. He's talking to Lee McKenzie.
Well, Mark, the tension's building. How are you feeling?
The tension goes away at this point. Actually, it's worse in the mornings for me, so pretty relaxed, ready to go, and just focus on the job I got to do.
Are you having to kind of rely on so many others, or are you racing for yourself?
Absolutely, racing for myself. I think that's the best strategy still at this stage. Do the best job I can, and you know, be there at the end. Obviously, that's crucial, which I've been doing most of the year, and I need to do it again today.
We've got a rookie at the front. Is that in your mind as well?
Yeah, obviously he's pretty inexperienced with this position, so we'll try and deal with him as effectively as we can. But you know, he's there to do a job as well, and so he'll do his best. So hopefully we can sort it all out pretty quickly.
Thanks, Mark.
It's interesting, isn't it, hearing all these drivers saying, I'm just thinking about my own race. Yeah, we believe them, don't we? Mark Webber said this week he doesn't feel emotionally supported by Red Bull. Did that surprise you?
Well, I think it's very difficult to explain to the public why that could possibly be, but the fact is all the team can do is give equal equipment and equal opportunity, and then that last little tangible, intangible when it comes to feeling love and not love, then you know, what can you do for that? I think that that comes down to the individual driver to sort of dig deep and get over it.
And there is Mark sitting at the back of the garage, looking nice and cool as ever. He's the unflappable Aussie of the Formula One pit lane. Someone snapping a quick photograph there. No doubt he's grabbing his drink, keeping his fluids up. Let's hear from his team principal, Christian Horner.
Well, Christian, so much at stake. What have your instructions to the drivers been this morning?
Well, they know that, you know, it's very important to finish this race to take the championship into Abu Dhabi, and it's crucial that both the drivers are ahead of Fernando. We've got a great opportunity in the constructors, and you know, it's just vital that we convert this very good grid position into a result.
Okay, thanks very much.
Now, Eddie, of course, you're a sort of legendary team principal in Formula One standards, particularly compared to the three men who are pushing for the title at the moment. They're positive rookies, aren't they, at Ferrari, Red Bull and McLaren?
But that's also part of the intrigue and the excitement. There have been big heroes in those teams. The Ron Dennises, of course, the Jean Todt. You only have to think in your mind about what great successes they had. But, you know, they're having their chance, their day. And each of the three have done a remarkable season, because this, for me, has been the most exciting season that we've had for a very, very long time.
OK, it's been exciting as well for McLaren, of course, because they've got Lewis Hamilton currently fighting for the world title, and mathematically, I suppose, Jenson Button as well. But he had a bad qualifying session yesterday, just to remind you. He starts 11th. Let's hear from their team principal, Martin Whitmarsh.
Well, Martin, some changes in Parc Ferme. Jenson's had to change some uprights and drive shafts. Why was that?
In the inspection process, if there's something where you've got a damage, I mean, it's fairly regular and routine. If you look every race there's just a list. It's done under FIA supervision. There's no drama attached to that, I'm afraid.
Okay, good stuff. Have a good race.
Well, David, how much heart will McLaren be taking from the fact that they've had much better race pace than they have qualifying pace this year?
Well, that's where the points are. That's where the prizes come. So, you know, quali makes it a lot easier, obviously, if you're not having to battle.
And just to make it clear to people at home how hard Jenson Button's job is today, he made up a load of places last year. He started 14th, he eventually finished 5th, making up 9 places. If he does that again this year, he will still be out of the title race, pretty much.
And that's a disappointing thing, because I think Jenson, we saw absolutely the hysteria when he won those couple of races at the beginning of the season. He did a remarkable job of making sure he understood what tyres and position he was. So it's disappointing that he might be excluded from the final race.
Beautiful views always here in Brazil as we get towards the Grand Prix. David, tell us how you expect the start of this race to pan out. We've got a slightly slower Williams car. There's the fans getting ready for it. Slightly slower Williams car in front of 3 or 4 guys desperate for the title. How careful will they be around Nico Hülkenberg? Because they can't take too big a risks, can they?
Well, you know, Nico's there on merit. He's won a lot of races in the past in Formula 3, GP2, you know, so at the end of the day, it's not like he's got L plates in the back of his car. So what makes this race difficult is the fact that it's blind going into turn 1. You don't see the apex until you actually arrive at it, and that means that there's many incidents that happen there.
The main problem really for Nico is he doesn't have the ultimate outright speed, so he is going to be passed into the first corner on the first lap, maybe the second lap, and so it'll be a big job for him to keep himself focused and just think about himself going forward.
Look at that, Eddie. Bernie always picks up the trophies, doesn't he? He's the real winner in Formula 1, regardless of who wins the world title.
Well, we call him the ringmaster, you can call him the guru, call him anything you like, but no one could have ever have forecasted how exciting this particular season is. I know people have said in the past that he pulls a lot of the strings. He may do, but not on this occasion.
OK, well, we're getting very close now to race time indeed. There's Lewis Hamilton gearing up for this race. In the past couple of races, David, have we seen a slightly too aggressive Lewis Hamilton? He's had 3 DNFs recently.
I don't think so. Lewis is a racer, and that sticking your nose in and having a go is what led him to be a world champion very early in his career. And you know, you can't get a leopard change at spots. OK, guys, are we going to see the World Championship decided today?
No chance.
David, what do you think?
Well, it's possible, but I hope it goes down to Abu Dhabi.
OK, and Red Bull to be the Constructors' Championship?
Yeah, more likely.
You think so? OK, right, here we go then. Time for the penultimate race of the 2010 season in the company of Martin Brundle and Jonathan Ledyard. Now, so far this season, we've seen more twists and turns than a lap of this track, haven't we? At the moment, there are 5 men battling it out for the title. We've seen the lead change hands on 8 different occasions, and Jenson Button will be battling from the back to try and do the business. It really has been quite a journey to arrive at this Grand Prix, and of course, this is the Grand Prix that could decide everything here in Brazil this afternoon. Nico Hülkenberg on pole position, 4 men behind him, desperate to get past and do the business today. What an incredible season it's been. Today, it could all be sorted out.
Out of the silent winter, a familiar sound grew. Distant at first, but then louder. And with an explosion of noise and sound, the circus blew into the sands of Bahrain. The race was on. Around the world it travelled, this riot of noise, fumes, colour and drama. This glamorous troupe to entertain the people who flocked to see their heroes in glistening machines. First into the ring came the riders of the bull. In German and Australian hands it flew, and the champagne flowed. From the new world to the old, the challenge was laid down. Could they now steal the spotlight from those 2 British stars? 2 champions in one team with different styles. One full of flair and on the edge, the other calm and methodical. Both keen to add another crown. Both at times still revelled in the acclaim of the crowd. But perhaps the most celebrated machine of all would come out on top. A flash of red and a wave of a flag. The charging bull may have met its match in the prancing horse. How another man, an aging and fading star, would have loved to have been riding his old chariot. Once untouchable, he had forgotten the most important rule. Always leave them wanting more. And with that and other failures, there's also a reminder that great men are nothing without great machines. But of course, even more is sometimes needed. In this game where sport and politics do mix, every team, of course, has its favourite son.
Fernando is faster than you.
Well done, Mark, you drove very well today.
Not bad for number 2 driver.
But how does this story finish? Still so close, still no one can tell. 5 continents crossed, 5 men hoping to be the ultimate star. In the desert it began, and in the desert it will finish. But will the ringmaster have his grand finale here to the greatest show on earth?